Hey guys, long time no see. It's been a crazy semester, but I'm gonna jump right in. So today I'm gonna be talking about how COVID-19 has affected the theater industry. If you didn't know already, I'm at FSU right now studying theater, so this is a topic that hits really close to home. And I'm gonna start right off by discussing what's happened at my school. So originally FSU had an entire fall 2020 season planned out, but we found out in August that everything was being moved to a virtual format. Now this wasn't really a surprise to many people. Most of us figured it would happen and we just didn't get any confirmation till then. I was actually lucky enough to be cast in one of these productions, and the entire rehearsal process was over Zoom and the performances were over Zoom, and we actually pre-recorded our performances. So even though we streamed them live, everyone knew that the performances had already been recorded beforehand. But FSU isn't alone in this. Most colleges across America have turned their in-person extravagant fall 2020 seasons to a virtual format, and those who haven't have been forced to follow COVID-19 guidelines while performing. I've seen a lot of colleges have performances on stage, but everyone has to stay 6 feet apart with masks on, and that includes when people are singing. And that actually brings up an interesting point. They actually make singing masks, which a lot of people don't know about. So traditional masks that we wear, which most people nowadays are wearing like cloth masks, or at least is what I see most of the time, they're pretty close to your face. Now for singing, you obviously need a lot of breath support, so that's really difficult to manage. So what they do with singing masks is place it far away from your face. So while a regular mask would be around here, a singing mask would be placed all the way over here. So when you take a deep breath, you get all that air without it getting trapped by your mask being pushed against your face. But the most popular way to perform right now has been Zoom theater. But we're gonna move into a broader outlook on the theater industry as a whole now. So to everyone's disappointment, on March 12th, 2020, Broadway went dark and had to cease all of their shows and refund tickets, and it was just a crazy time for everyone. Sadly, this news had a domino effect and ended up closing long-running shows such as Frozen and Beetlejuice, and it closed shows that didn't even get to see a live past previews such as Hangman and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. To make matters worse, on October 9th, 2020, it was announced that Broadway would not reopen prior to May 30th, 2021. Now obviously, this was shocking to a lot of people, including myself, and this is actually the 4th extension of Broadway's closure. This was obviously a really difficult decision for them to make because a lot of theater makers right now have already been struggling with things such as healthcare and their benefits and such an inflated. However, I'm going to try to lighten things up now. So the Actors Equity Association actually had its first approved live musical, which opened on August 6th, 2020 and closed on September 20th, 2020. This musical was Godspell. It was performed under a huge tent in a parking lot, and the sides were actually open for ventilation. The entire cast of the production had to be quarantined together. They were tested every 3 days, and they also had to follow a lot of guidelines on top of that. For one, when every single performer had to sing, no matter what, they had to face the audience. And all of the backup singers were actually placed behind plastic partitions in the back to avoid any spit going out or anything like that at all. Additionally, the audience started 25 feet in front of the stage, and the audience had to follow all social distancing guidelines and such. Now, this isn't the first live musical to happen during the pandemic, but it's the first one approved by Actors Equity Association, which for those of you who don't know, virtually every Broadway performer is a part of the Actors Equity Association, which is basically a union that guarantees them a safe work environment, good hours, minimum pay, and all that kind of stuff. However, performances such as these are going to become increasingly more difficult to advertise and get people to buy tickets for, given that winter is approaching. Lots of these outside venues are going to be too uncomfortable to justify having huge performances, especially in the north. So I'm anticipating a lot of creative ways to do theater throughout the winter. And now I'm going to bring forth something else that has brightened a lot of people's summers, and that is Hamilton. Hamilton was actually released on Disney Plus on July 3rd, 2020, and while it's nothing new, it has sparked a lot of conversation. Broadway productions have been recorded before, such as Newsies and Shrek the Musical, which both found a place on Netflix, but it's the timing of Hamilton's release that makes it so special. In 2020, there's already been a lot of talk of theater being elitist, especially in the tense political climate that we're in right now, and being able to watch Hamilton, one of America's most popular musicals, in the middle of an extreme lack of theater, it really got people talking. There's a huge hope for a lot of people that in the future we'll be able to record more Broadway performances and stream them on services such as Disney+, Hulu, Netflix, all those kinds of things, so it can reach a broader audience. But we'll just have to see how all that works out. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my video today, and I'm going to include all of the websites I got my information from at the end if you want to look into any of them. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.